And everybody?
I think so.
All right,
Check again.
Tuesday, February 8th, tonight. The minutes from January 25th. Everybody look at those minutes.
Yes. I had one question.
Correction?
For Shannon Guzman, that notice of intent, was it only 1 foot closer? How could that
He
be?
said it went from 22 to 23 feet. What they said.
What they had staked out was more than a foot.
I can't hear you, sir.
I thought that
don't
the
know.
addition-
That's what they told us. We can question that.
Yeah, let's ask, because I thought the addition is more than a foot. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
said. They said it was a foot.
Right, if we can ask her,
Yep.
that would be good. It's not, it's like 3 or 4 feet, at least.
Yeah, because it jutted out.
Right, towards the BB.
It said it was, only, it was 20, at 22 feet, and then it was going to 23 feet. That's what they said, so. Whether that's
Yeah, well, I question that.
accurate or not, I don't know. Yeah.
Make a motion to accept the minutes, except for one question.
I will.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Tonight.
Tom Ingersoll.
You here, Tom Ingersoll?
Yes.
Zooming? Anybody hear us? He's worked that way. This lady in the middle.
Goodman.
Where?
The lawyer, Goodman.
All right, well,
I know.
He shows
I know
up,
that
we'll-
too.
bring back to him. Public hearing. Burnham continued unless somebody's here.
On that Bernheim.
Yeah,
Since you guys have been hanging on that for like a year and a half, I
Yeah.
emailed him today. I'm not really involved with it anymore, but he was my client to begin with. So I emailed him today, because I'll bet you he has no idea that that's out there. So I emailed him today and said, you're still on the agenda, and you need to close it out.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything back yet.
all right, thank you.
Violation.
Camp, 28 Beachwood Drive, certificate of compliance. He's gonna send us a letter?
We haven't gotten it.
Are we sending him a letter?
No, he's sending us a
He's
letter.
I thought-
sending us a letter describing the trees that he's going to replace.
But he knows to do that, right?
Yes, he
Well,
does.
he was on the.
Here at the meeting.
So
Right.
told he needed to do it, but we haven't received it.
I feel like
Resource area delineation, 3 Ice Glen Road.
We have a request to continue that until February 22nd.
We're not gonna be able to see the,
Wait, that's at the end of the month?
Maybe
Maybe you get a big
Form.
draw.
form this week.
It is?
Relatively.
Second.
So that's a Tuesday.
Stormwater management bylaw.
Eric Gray.
Good evening, guys.
White engineering.
Good evening, everybody. Brent White from White Engineering, for your record. And also joining us is the applicant via Zoom. So good evening. Really, tonight, the last thing that we're looking to close up with this application was a request from the last hearing to submit an updated landscaping plan that would specifically identify the species of trees which would be, the applicant would be required to plant from. We've submitted that. And just in case you don't have that in front of you, the trees that we propose to plant will be either a red maple, a sugar maple, a flowering dogwood, an Easter red cedar, a scarlet oak, or a chestnut oak. So there was a number of trees that we had proposed in the southeast corner of the property, and it was my understanding that specifically to call out what species would be drawn from, and we've done so. And I'm happy to answer any last questions that you have.
How many trees?
How many trees was that?
Total.
Total?
15 trees.
Were they all different varieties or
I,
multiple?
they will be of the variety that I just stated. I think that was the request from the last meeting, was just to make sure that we identified, not, rather than just saying that native species, we identified what species would be acceptable to draw from. So now when we ultimately request our certificate of compliance, we'll have to have 15 of the variety that I just read off.
And I think we said it before, but I want to make sure that there's a condition that 75% of those trees survive after 3 years, 2 years? And if not,
I believe that's a standard I was expecting that was a standard commission or standard condition from what the commission requests, so that that's understood.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We received that.
Yes, we did.
All right, so we can make a motion to close this out.
I'll make that motion if that comes to pass. Do we have any idea when this is gonna happen?
Our intention is come springtime to begin demolition and begin in earnest, and I'm happy to provide the commission with an update once we have more specific dates related to commencement of construction.
Please. Thank you.
And yeah, do we want to do a
Can we put that in the condition?
see it before the work starts and see what the erosion controls are?
Yep.
Yeah, you keep us informed. We may do a site visit just to see if everything's there.
It's always our obligation to notify you when erosion controls are in place for you to inspect the start work. So again, that's nothing new or outside the ordinary, but that's fine.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close.
Second.
I'll make the motion.
Discussion, further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Have a good evening.
You're not done with me yet.
Where are you on here?
Next one.
Next.
600 feet here. White.
Oh, I was, yes. Okay, go for it.
So again, Brent White from White Engineering, and the applicant is also joining this evening, Ellen Martin. Thank you for having us. Shortly after the last public hearing, I was able to visit the property with the project architect, Anthony Barnaba, who I believe is also joining us via Zoom. And Chairman Roker and Sally and I had a chance to, with Shannon, walk the property here, and we've made a number of amendments to the proposal from what was originally submitted with the notice of intent. And I'll start with, I think, trying to maybe clarify your discussion earlier with respect to the minutes as it relates to the proposed addition. The 23 feet, I think what we were trying to identify with that dimension was the setback to the bordering vegetated wetland, and the closest point of the house when the addition is constructed will only be a foot or two closer to the wetland than it's an irregular shape, but that was what we were referring to. And the site visit allowed us to identify a number of things and commit to a number of things. First of which was to increase the vegetative buffer. We doubled from what we had originally proposed, a buffer row of plantings between the limit of bordering vegetated wetland into the maintained lawn, closer to the addition. In this case here, what I think the greater improvement that's come to the product as a result of that site visit was a identification that majority of the bordering vegetated wetland consists of a number of mature dead ash trees that really are adding no value and likely more of a hazard and a concern in their current state. And secondly, that bordering vegetated wetland is well consumed with invasive species. So the revised plans that we have submitted have not only doubled the buffer plantings between the proposed work and the bordering vegetated wetland, but we have committed to doing invasive species removal within the bordering vegetated wetland, removing the dead ash trees within the bordering vegetated wetland, and proposing a number of additional new trees to be replanted in that area over the 3-year period, which our order will allow us to do so. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. If you hadn't had a chance to review the plan, I'm happy to share my screen if you'd like.
I do have a couple questions. So do you mean at one point the house was 23 feet and now this new addition is 22? Is that how you're getting to just 1 foot?
Let me share my screen. I think that might just make everything a little easier here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
wait a minute. Where did you just point to?
This is wrong. They're not putting a pool. They're putting a kitchen. Remember that was the.
Yeah,
I'm curious as to when this is done, what percentage of the lot is going to be covered by the house?
Lot.
That's all I want to know.
I can tell you that the proposed coverage will comply with the underlying zoning district coverage requirements here. Is my screen visible for you all?
Yeah, we got it now.
Okay, thank you. So let me just zoom in a little closer here, and this will help hopefully clarify what we're up against. So
I remember this.
if you can follow my cursor here, this is following the delineated bordering vegetative wetland. And what you see here in yellow is the footprint of the existing house. And then what you see here in orange is the footprint of the proposed addition. So as you can see, it's not a perfectly square shape with respect to the house having a jut out here in this location. So in this case, with respect to the wetland, if you'll follow, that'll let me draw. Here we go.
Right, the wetland.
So again, from the wetland, we're going from this distance to the wetland. Right here is the increase in the distance to the or is the reduction in the setback to the wetland, which is again just over a foot. So that's the in terms of the placement of the addition and how we get closer to the wetland. That's really where we get closer. So to better account for that, this buffer area that my cursor is following now, we've doubled that from what was originally proposed. And then I'll just zoom out a little further here. It's within this area that we identified really is overgrown with invasive species. It'd be very difficult to walk from the edge of the lawn to the rear property line without encumbering those, I believe it was knotweed, as well as the number of dead ash trees that were really just of poor health. And in this case here, we felt having permission to remove those as a part of this order would actually serve as an enhancement to the overall wetland health.
So a couple of questions, actually 3 questions. What's being planted? And, you know, are the ash trees in danger of falling on the house or falling on people?
I would say that they're likely going to fall at some point. Would I say it's an emergency that it needs to be done next week? I wouldn't want to be disingenuous with that respect, but I think Chairman Broker identified correctly that those trees really are of poor health, and it would be a benefit to remove those as a part of the overall project rather than trying to preserve them.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's still habitat. I know I went out there too. So
Yeah.
I don't have a strong feeling, but they are still habitat. And if they, even if they
There's
fall
one
in the
dwelling.
CDW.
This is a dwelling,
It's not
this
gonna
is
do
a
any harm.
dwelling, and this is like in between.
Yeah,
And my third, just one more question. How are you removing the
and on
invasive?
piers?
I'm not going to lie, it was very difficult to hear the last 30 seconds. The microphone was picking up a number of voices. I apologize. But I'll take the questions in the order that I think I heard them. With respect to what are we proposing to plant? So we have a number of planting areas proposed. In the buffer planting area closest to the edge of the bordering vegetative wetland to the lawn, we're proposing a total of 16 winterberry bushes, 3 to 4 foot in height. We're proposing 32 1-gallon pots of golden Alexander, as well as cut leaf coneflower or comparable native planting. And then with respect to this shaded area that you see within the bordering vegetative wetland, we want to plant a number of native ferns as well as a total of 20 trees between a species of swamp oak, native pine, and red maple. So we'd actually propose to plant 20 trees within this bordering vegetative wetland once the dead ash trees are removed, which will be a net increase in trees, and we believe a healthier tree as well as a species that will more likely thrive in the long term in this area. So we, again, in terms of the improvements to the plan from what was originally submitted here, we think not only with increasing the buffer in closest proximity to the work area, really covering more of the property, seeing a greater enhancement here we felt was certainly in the best interest of the act and a good faith effort by the applicant to address the concerns raised during your first hearing, as well as what we observed during our site visit.
Native pine, do you mean white pine? I don't know what you mean by native pine.
That is correct. I mean, that we were trying to give ourselves some flexibility of what we have with the nursery here, but that would typically be what we would expect.
Brent, do we have a list of those plantings? I don't see it on.
Yes, that's on the plan that was submitted both electronically and the hard copies that were delivered to your office.
So the plans that I have here are 2/4/22, which would have been after our site visit. Oh, no, it wouldn't have. So maybe that's the wrong one.
Let me, if I can, while I've got my screen shared here, I'll circle the different planting areas for your reference. In this area is the buffer planting list, which are the plants along the edge of the wetland itself here. And then the planting list for the this area of the invasive removal and ash tree removal, those plantings are shown here.
And
Sorry.
how do you propose to remove the invasives?
Those will actually be cut flush to grade. Our current deal is with respect to buckthorn was the invasive that was present there, and we are going to cut it to the root, but we're not planning to excavate or rip the roots out of the ground. Again, the fact that we are in the wetland, trying not to create too much disruption here. And with respect to tree removal, our ideally, if we were to receive our order of conditions this evening, that would give us the opportunity to potentially remove those trees with frozen ground conditions and result in really minimal damage to the property overall. And those would be cut flush. We would not be looking to remove the stumps.
So when I did go out and see it after you saw it, there are several mature trees in there. Could we get a list of those? I want to make sure those don't come down.
As I prepared for tonight, one of the thoughts that I had was similar to your pre-construction meeting to inspect the erosion controls here. One of the thoughts that I had was if the chair, whoever is going to be representing the commission to visit the property, we'd be happy to identify either with spray paint or tagging with a nail all the trees that'll be removed, just so there's no, obviously it's quite obvious the number of the trees that are really of poor health, but if it's a matter of documenting for the commission and the opportunity to look at each tree individually before they're removed, I think that would provide certainly an opportunity to do that and certainly preserve what is of health and could be maintained, but I think there's more trees in that wetland that need to come out than will remain as a part of this project.
Say that again, that last?
It's not gonna take all of it. Property goes way back farther. Brett, you were only gonna go in how far? 20 feet, was it, or?
That is correct. That's what we tried to show with this darker green right here with regards to the invasive removal, and that is correct. The property boundary does not go, it's actually cut off by this construction notes here, but our property boundary is only here, so we don't have infinite. This wetland network does continue on over the property boundary to the neighboring property, and we're not suggesting or proposing to remove any trees on their property as a part of this project. But ultimately, what we intend to do on our property will certainly enhance that wetland network.
I think
So-
there were like 6 or 7.
Yeah, how many of the dead trees are you taking? I feel I'm in agreement with everything except taking out all the dead trees because they really are habitat. And unless they're in danger of falling on the house, I'd rather see some of them stay.
To be honest, I think there's some of them that are actually more than likely to fall on the neighbor's property than our own house. And I think there's the chance to visit the property pre-construction to mark which trees that are truly closest to our house that are in danger of falling on the house or certainly falling within the maintained lawn versus those that are closer to that rear property boundary that either are not of necessarily poor health or are not a hazard to us or to our neighboring property. I think that would give us the opportunity to look more closely at, again, there's probably, I'd say 4 or 5 trees that are questionable at this point. And I think a chance maybe to see that one more time would certainly help us before the trees are actually cut. And we have that opportunity at our pre-construction erosion control inspection.
Okay.
So how far are you going in, Brent?
We're only proposing to come in approximately 20 feet. That's this dimension right here. So we're not really going very, very far.
Basically, everything can be reached almost with an excavator or a crane type thing.
That is correct. I wouldn't expect that we really need to get heavy equipment or much heavy equipment into the wetland other than just to physically assist with the cutting of the tree at the stump flush level and then getting the logs physically out of the wetland itself. So again, the ability to do that when the ground is frozen certainly minimizes any opportunity for damage to the wetland, and then ultimately the buckthorn removal will be done likely after the tree removal, and it's quite possible that removing some of those trees might very well just take some buckthorn with it.
I didn't have too much of an issue with taking down the ash trees because there were so many other things in there that A, are gonna die or are just out of the reach of
Okay.
what they're gonna do.
Okay.
I think this is the opportunity, rather than get in there and mess around while they can get to it, while there's some construction. Reach in, get anything away that's dead, and they're dead, they're standing dead. Some of them, they barely have branches on a few of them. Granted, woodpeckers live in them.
And insects and,
Yeah.
you know, lots of things
But I
feed off them.
think in that area with the rate that the elm trees are dying, I think there are gonna be plenty of opportunities for creatures to live in there, so.
Okay,
Elm trees, ash trees, excuse me. Elm
I know
trees are long-
what you meant.
Elm trees are long gone.
80 feet.
Okay,
Okay, Brett, we're,
thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
You want to close?
make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, Brett, keep us informed, please.
Will do.
Like,
Thank you.
when all this is gonna happen?
Oh.
I don't at the moment, but I'm happy to, knowing that the project is approved this evening, correspond offline with the applicant to see when it might be possible to get that tree work done. Again, while we have frozen ground conditions, and I'll report that back to the commission.
Thank you.
No, I didn't. Can you resend the list of trees, please?
Brett, we don't have the plans with the list of trees on it. Can you resend that to us, please?
Here.
I'm happy to do so,
Here?
but I thought they were delivered to the town hall today, but we'll make sure you have plenty of copies for your files.
All right, we found it on the other side.
Alrighty.
All right, thank you. You're good.
You want this, Joe?
Lost my place.
So now we're on Pincus.
Pincus. East Austin Road. House demolition, rebuild, septic and waste. All right, let's see what you got.
Dun, 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 dun.
So do you know where this is?
No.
Just north of the causeway. White Pine launch area is.
Yeah.
Property right next to it. You can't see it from the, you can't really see it from,
Oh, it's,
from the road. To the
roof's
back.
not caved in yet, but it's close.
Say, see?
The roof hasn't caved in.
No, it's in pretty bad shape though, yeah. So this is, so we have Elizabeth Daniel Pincus with us, part of the Elizabeth Goodman attorney. This is the existing property. It's heavily wooded. The White Pines boat area is right here. There's an existing driveway that comes off of Hawthorne Road. This is a pretty dilapidated building. It has a failing septic system that's right here. There's a dry well, and there is an existing well on the property. Other than that, it's very heavily wooded. So the lake is pretty distinct. This is a steep slope. There's about 30 feet of elevation change from this side down to the bottom. Here's a 100-foot buffer zone. There's your 200-foot wetland bylaw line. We will have to be going to LPOD. We have the historic selectmen for pre-existing non-conforming for the project. So we're in line for all of those. There's been a new septic system designed for what's proposed. That's gone to Tri-Town as well as a new well permit that's proposed.
Can you send us the permissions from them, from Tri-Town and?
Once we get them, yeah.
Yep.
They've been submitted. They were submitted about a week and a half ago, so we should have them. I did check today and they have not issued them.
Yeah, before you go on, what's the square footage of the existing house?
Existing house is about 1,000 square feet.
Thank you.
This thing's about, the new one's gonna be about 27.
That's why I asked.
Yep, and it's meeting 10%. Right on those with the zoning. And it meets all the LPOD, 50% coverage, all that kind of stuff.
And it's all in the buffer? Excuse me.
It's not all in the buffer. The buffer zone is this line right here. So pretty much all of it,
50%.
yeah, a lot of it's all in LPOD. There's a little section right here that's not in LPOD, 150 feet. It's all in your wetland bylaw area. But there's not really too much alternatives here. This is all ledge up in here, so that's all exposed ledge. And this is ledge going down to the lake. So we did, just to confirm that we can do this job, we did get percolation tests right in this area right here. And that will support a septic system. So we did get depth of soils and percolation test. So as I said, that's into Tri-Town Health Department for approval. And that will require a substantial raised wall right here. So this is about 8 feet tall at this point right here.
Is that also wooded in that area?
It is, yeah, yeah. There's lots of trees, not gonna beat around it. There's lots of trees coming down. It's a heavily wooded site and there are quite a bit of mature trees.
In the buffer zone.
And they're in the buffer zone, yep.
And there are hemlocks and white pines.
Hemlocks, not a lot of white pines, hemlocks, white pines, sugar maples, beech.
So it's trees coming down on a steep slope in the buffer zone.
So let me go through it.
Okay.
So this is steep up in here, and this is steep here. It's fairly flat where the building is actually going through this corridor right here. And that's where all the development is proposed to be put in. So we have a septic system. We have to clear the trees in the septic system area. We're gonna maintain pretty much all the dark green that I have on here is going to be trees to be retained. For LPOD, we can't cut anything within 35 feet of the lake anyways. So that's a ban about like this anyways. So you can't cut anything except for a lake access area. They allow for a lake access area. We are proposing that because there isn't anything right now in this area, right, this little area right here, 20 by 15 that we're proposing. There's one mature tree in there. We're going to leave it. We're proposing to clear the underbrush. That can be all the handwork. You're right on the lake. There is a large white pine that's uprooted right about here. That's proposed to be removed. And then before the Pinkuses bought this, some clearing was done, I think in this area, and they stacked all the wood right in here. That's proposed to get removed. So anyways, let me go through so the existing house sits right in here. This house has been pushed that way to mostly for the septic system. We need 20 feet from the septic system to the house. And that is just this location from here to here.
Where's the well in relation to the new house?
The new well is proposed here.
New well.
Yeah. So the existing house is good. This proposed house is going to be sitting just on the existing well, which is right there. So we're proposing to put a new well in. And the new well millings will be contained within a box, within a roll-off box with a tarp liner and taken off site. So,
Can I interrupt just
sure.
for a second? Okay. What's the scale of the drawing, just so I can?
This is 20 scale. This is 20 scale.
The blue is the water.
Blue is the lake. Yep.
Where the lake takes a little jog and there's light green, is that a clearing to the?
There's no real clearing here. This is all wooded. The only clearing, mostly the only clearing that's in here is the white pine boat access, which is down here. Otherwise, this is covered with trees, except for the existing house.
And how much?
Patrick,
Go ahead.
you're the one that brought this to our attention where the clearing was on the,
Is that this property? It might be the
looks
one-
like it could be.
I think it's the one next to it. I'm not
This
sure.
property has not been cleared.
Is this the one that has that wall face of rock and then there's sand at the bottom? I think it's the one next to it.
No.
I don't believe it's this property. And this property isn't developed. The one that we're talking about is one or two houses more.
All right.
So how much square footage is being lost in the buffer zone with the addition, with the house addition, with the house being so much bigger?
Well, you're gonna have clearing involved in that for construction stuff.
Yeah, so
Septic field,
this
The
is
well.
The well.
This is being cleared. This area right here is being cleared. We're proposing a wall. This is a infiltration in the LPOD to comply with their regulations. We're another about 1,700 square feet greater than the existing house, so we have to do infiltration compensate for greater impervious area. So standard procedure we go through is we put an infiltration galley in, and this is in this location, tight to the house. We're putting a retaining wall. These are proposed to be big block retaining walls, stepped back, and then we're going to vegetate the whole face of it. So that would be, we're proposing like Virginia creeper at this time. It's a native species. It's going to cover that wall. It's proposing to do the same thing here. This is a stepped wall. So the wall comes up about 3 feet, steps back 16 inches, steps back 3 feet, it steps back 16 inches. And those steps are going to be planted with,
this is for the raised septic system.
for the raised septic system and also for the infiltration area. That's being brought up in grade. Because when you're doing an infiltration system, you're not supposed to be into the existing groundwater. In this case, this is about 2 feet to ledge conditions. So it is ledge conditions.
So you
Trying to minimize that.
you may not have an answer now, but I would want to know how much square feet is being,
I can provide that. I don't have that on top of my
but
head. Square feet of BVW,
Buffer.
buffer zone.
yeah. And the distance to the lake?
Distance to the lake is 71 feet. This wall is about 50 feet. And then this is 71 feet from this to that right there.
In the infiltration system to the lake?
This is 50, it's going to be about 60 feet.
And has there been an alternative analysis for a smaller project?
This is what the client came up with. No.
So that may be something.
It's not, there's no alternatives analysis required for notice of intent or LPOD or, you know, it's not what we usually do. We propose, this is what we propose. This is how we're meeting performance standards. This is a buffer.
So, this is Elizabeth Goodman. Hi, I just wanted to add a couple comments, which is, am I correct, Mark, that the new house is actually set back a little further from the lake?
No, not really. Sorry, it's right on. It's 71 feet. So the existing house from the lake to the deck of the existing house is 71 feet. This is to the lake, to the existing deck, to the proposed deck is 71 feet.
And
Okay,
how-
no closer though, no closer than the
You
existing.
typically don't get any closer, correct?
And I had one other comment, which is in the notice of intent, there's pictures of the existing vegetated state, and there's pictures of renderings of what it will look like after construction.
Do we have the notice of intent?
You should have, yeah.
The parking area that's shown there,
So there's
that's a modification of the driveway that's already there.
the driveway is going to remain in the same location as the existing, but be extended.
Extended how?
Extended lengthwise to meet the new house. This is the depiction, a rendering of what you would see. This is the proposed house right here from the lake. And these trees that are in here are the trees that are shown on the plan. So they're in the correct location, correct height, not too bad in species.
The photograph?
Yes.
No,
Well,
it's a picture of what it will look like.
it's a make, yeah.
It's a rendering.
The rendering. And then just for a little bit more, there's another one that has a little different view. But that's from sort of an aerial view. So that's what the house would be looking like. This would be the dock area. This is the house. You'd still be retaining all of this vegetation in the front. So it's gonna be pretty, all the trees that are proposed to be removed on the site have been, they're flagged. The house has been staked out.
Driveway, turn around.
Driveway's pretty obvious when you get there.
What's the improvement? This is buffer zone. You need to show that there's an improvement.
I don't have to show that there's an
Yeah,
improvement
there
in
is.
the buffer zone.
Yeah, you do.
No, I
You
don't.
do.
No.
Yeah, you do.
And how many trees are you proposing to take down?
There's approximately 34 trees to be taken out.
Okay,
We're proposing to plant
and what is
as much as you can.
the steepness of the grade?
This is steep. This is, but we're not doing
Yeah,
anything
but
up
what is,
here.
30%.
And this is like a 3-1 slope.
The one,
This down in here. Pretty steep.
34 to 10 is nothing.
And the only thing we're proposing to do on this slope is to get a 30-inch wide gravel or crushed stone pathway down to the proposed access way.
And again, in the notice of intent, we gave a picture of that exact area. It says vegetation in the proposed lake access to be cleared, so you can see what's there now, which is, well, I don't have a statement about it, but there's small trees there that are being removed, small bushy things removed to make the path.
Yeah, the path.
Small bushy things.
The path.
what is small bushy things?
The path is not removing
No.
any
Small
significant
bushy
trees.
things is not.
Also,
There's no tree in the pathway.
in these new storms, is the crushed stone path, is that stone gonna be moving into the lake?
No. This is a crushed stone. It's heavy and it is compacted in place. Yeah,
Is it airport stuff?
no,
Good.
no. Washed 3/8 sharp crushed stone.
Driveway improvements, what will that,
Is that paved?
The driveway through LPOD cannot be paved, has to be a pervious surface. So what we're proposing is a honeycomb base, and then that is also crushed stone with a 1-foot stone base to that. So it actually creates an area that's going to retain runoff. That's what the lot looks like.
Existing condition, are you showing them that picture in Exhibit D, Mark?
Right.
Yeah. And the wood debris is shown in there too.
So I do disagree with you in terms of improvement. I don't have the document with me, but in the buffer zone, you do have to show an improvement.
I've been doing this a long time, and I've never had to do that. I understand buffer zone is a buffer zone. It's not a wetland resource area.
Not, but the WPA still calls, we can ask for some improvement.
Okay.
When we do a site.
We can,
And what would you term improvement? You mean you're looking for additional plantings?
Depending on, I would want to see the site before I answered that.
Of course.
let's do the site visit. I think that'll clarify a lot of things out there.
You can bring this with you to the site visit.
Oh, yeah.
we've been requiring replantings to be on a 2-to-1 basis. If you take down a tree,
34 trees. they're
especially if
coming
it's
down.
any size, we ask for 2 to be planted on the property.
Yeah, I just
You
don't.
have room on that?
I don't think you're gonna have room on the property. We could do additional plantings, because it's ledge conditions. They're gonna be small trees, so they can adapt to the ledge. The one place that possibly you could add to, which is right on the lake basically, is where there's a large white pine that's been uprooted right on the shoreline. So we can add more in there, but I don't think you're gonna get to 32 trees.
Can these terraces have shrubs or bushes in them besides?
We can add shrubs along the walls. You can't have shrubs on top of the infiltration area or the septic system. So we can plant.
Step backs.
We can do it, we're gonna do the steps in the wall.
Right.
Those are gonna be planted. So it's gonna be vegetation, but it's gonna be a vine or crawling species. So it adapts, it can grow onto the wall.
So we've started requiring that on the plans that any trees that are 4 inches or larger at about 4 feet need to be identified.
4 inches or larger.
DDA.
Well, that'll have to be edited in. It's mostly mature trees, but I can edit those in.
And how big are they?
What's that?
The mature trees, how big are they?
Oh, a lot of them are 24-inch trees. Yeah, there's significant trees out there. So there's hemlock, there's oak, sugar maple. There's one sugar maple. I was listening to you. It could still be a nice snag if it's left there. It is a rotting tree, but that's something I think we should look at. Right now, it's proposed to be removed because it does have damage in it. But we can take a look at that and make a determination on the site visit possibly.
Those are the type of things where we,
Yep.
if it's dead and dangerous, that's one thing. But if it's, maybe, those are the replants that we're looking for.
I've made it very clear on this project that, I understand about the clearing and the cutting. And there's no more cutting than is necessary over what I thought was necessary. So there's a lot of trees, if they fall down, they're gonna hit the house.
I think it needs to be said that this property's been ignored for forever.
It's an old property.
Yeah, and any room for contemporary approved improvement is probably going to be a welcome thing.
Well, except our
34 trees.
purview is protection of the wetland. Our purview is not
No,
to make
I
the
understand
property
that.
look pretty. That's
No,
not.
when
Right, and
we go to
34
the site
trees.
visit,
Yep.
when we go to the site visit, I think that maybe it'll become clearer.
When do you go for the special permit?
Well, I put it off until it's advertised, or the LPUD is advertised for the March 1st, but I'm going to defer it off to the 15th because I'm not going to be around, so I want to represent that. And I would ask, hopefully, if you're going to do a site visit, you can do it maybe next week, because I'll be gone after the 18th to the 1st.
I'll be gone on the 17th, so.
You know the property, so
We do it on the 16th.
sounds like.
But I don't know what's going on there now.
It is
Be
a
glad to meet you,
Wednesday.
but another time.
Wednesday.
You want to set a site visit now?
Yeah,
I want to see this one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've got,
Today's the 8th.
I can't do late in the afternoon.
I can do any time on Wednesday.
Patrick?
What are we talking about?
I'm pretty open.
18th,
16th.
16th? Sorry.
16th is a Wednesday. I can't do Wednesday.
What?
I could do Wednesday in the morning, but I can't do
I
after.
can do the morning if that
I
works.
can do the morning.
Okay, Mark, I can't attend on the morning, but I'm not sure I have to be present for the site visit if you guys all want to meet on Wednesday, the 16th in the morning.
Yeah, let's try to do
I could
that.
get there, I could maybe get there at, say, 10:30 or something. I don't know what you mean by morning.
Probably when you folks are gonna,
That's
what do you
morning,
think?
10 o'clock's morning.
4 o'clock this morning in my world.
10,
We need lawyers for.
10 o'clock, 10:30?
Either one. 10:30.
10:30?
10:30, 16th?
Okay, I'll do my best.
Jan,
Thank you.
Just a
February.
quick note.
So it's 8 Hawthorne Road?
Question for Mark. Along the south side of that property, there's
Not sure.
like a welded wire fence
By
that's
the
really
white
old, that's
pine?
down in
Across the
in the sort of grass and leaves. And it's sort of like a nightmare for, things that might get caught in it. I just wonder if you guys would be amenable to kind of clean that up as
Species
here.
part of the-
I think we've talked to Daniel about redoing
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's along the roadway.
Yeah, sort of between the White Pines Beach and, that south border. There's just a lot of down fencing there.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
10:30 to 16,
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
8 Hawthorne. Wear your boots.
Don't have to wear, well, for snow and ice. You don't have to wear boots for wetlands because there's
High and dry.
It's
High and dry and bone dry.
right, right. Great video site.
Okay,
Thank you.
see you there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going to continue the hearing though to the next date?
Yes,
Don't we have to announce that you are doing that?
So
well,
we're gonna go to, your next meeting's 22nd, correct?
Yes,
I will not be here.
I will not be here, but let's see how that goes. We'll see how the site visit goes. And I could always have Jackson, who you guys are familiar with, represent it, but I'd rather actually be here for that too.
we can tentatively schedule it to be heard again on the
Why don't we do it the
22nd.
22nd and we'll see.
Yes. And then if you need to continue, of course, that's fine. 22nd at 7 or thereabouts?
Yes.
All right, folks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
okay. Certificate of compliance.
Okay, we have requests for certificate of compliance. I don't see anybody from Hill here.
Anybody from Hill Engineering? Nope.
This is for White Pines. This was requested by Mark Stinson that these really old files from 1986 be cleared out. Because he does not like to have,
We're not too keen on them either.
he doesn't like to have stuff coming up, 30 some odd years later. However, so it went to town council and it went to DEP. And so there were some questions as to whether we could require this for the bridge replacement. And town council said it's up to us to decide whether we have to require it or not. So Hill submitted the request for certificate of compliance. They submitted two separate ones. One for file number 2960070 and one for 2960075. I have nothing in the files for 0075.
Can we, what is,
With the project.
I mean, numbers,
No.
what are we talking about
We're
here?
talking about files from
I
1986.
know we are, but what are the numbers in reference to what project goes with the numbers?
Numbers should coincide with the numbers of the original filing. So the 29670 is fine. We have that file. It tells you virtually nothing. But this one apparently is the bridge.
Okay,
The
that's the
29670
information. That's the information, the bridge.
is the bridge. And we have the plans, such as they are, for that. And we've seen the bridge, so I see that as being a reasonably uncomplicated process to clear out that one. However, the other file that I found was 29671.
Which is what?
God only knows. Because I have no idea. We have somebody's notes. We have letters from SK Design saying that they never got paid for the project and they want their plans back.
So might they know?
I have no idea. We have another one, we have a thing from DEP on that one saying that the information you provided is not sufficient to make a determination. We have another one. It was giving it it was given the number, but that doesn't mean that it's approved. I have no record whatsoever of the order of conditions.
Do you have any idea what the project was?
No,
That's what I'm saying, maybe SK Design would have it in their record.
then-
I don't think that they're going to be interested in doing this since they never got paid for it.
These notes just talk about a lot of cuttings.
A lot of what?
cutting of timber.
And what are the dates on that?
Great deal. This is November.
1986.
Oh, so that was sort of
Recently purchased by
David Rothstein,
Rothstein.
yeah, so this is pre-White Pines.
yes.
Might be anywhere in Wheeler Drive too.
It's September, this letter from Scalise, or from SK Design is September 26, 1986. It says it's Lily Pond Lands, Brook Crossing drawings and notice of intent.
There's two brook crossings down there. One is on that uphill paved road that goes to the uphill homes that are there. And the other is on Dan Saul's property where there's a second lot that crosses the river. That's the one that we contested and that they then appealed and DP came out for. Those are the only two river stream crossings in that area.
So this one may be that, because there were sewer there too.
Yes, there's a sewer that goes under the stream. I mean, it's basically a shared septic.
Okay, so this may be that project, but the number on that file is 29671. So they requested a certificate of compliance for 29675. I have not found 29675. I have no idea what it is. I can't find any information on it. It's possible it was a typo on somebody's part. But we really can't do anything about it. It's just that, you know, it has the assessor's map and parcel, but that doesn't really narrow it down too much. So I'm not really, so I emailed Ken Boudreau and told him that I don't know what to do with that one. So I think we can close out the 29670, but I don't think we can do anything with the other two.
So I'll make a motion to close.
Is that the one with the septic?
No,
let's see if
this is
that's
the
bridge
bridge.
is gonna rebuild.
This is the bridge. So I'm pretty sure this is the bridge we just looked at and had the notice of intent for. So I think,
If we close that out, then they could start on that project.
and we can figure out what this all is about.
I make a motion to close 2960070. Bridge.
Second that.
Aye, aye, aye.
All right, so we got one out of the three.
Okay.
Is there anybody,
I don't see anybody from Hill here, so I don't think that they can help us right now, but like I say, I emailed them and
that's how many
told them
years
that we
ago?
have some confusion.
86?
35 years ago? There's nobody still around there that would know anything about this.
No. I mean, that's the problem when they don't have, that's why Mark is so adamant. You know, unfortunately, he's not around, but he's so adamant about getting these certificates of compliance done in a timely manner, because then you end up with this kind of thing, which really, I mean, the plans, there are no plans. There's just, you know, some paperwork with
1986, man.
1986. It was a whole different world back
2
then.
years after 1984.
I was barely born.
Big brother was not watching.
Nice try.
I was in.
Okay, so we'll issue that and we'll have to continue the others till we get some clarification.
I can see this going on forever.
I mean, you know, Hill is being great about trying to do this. But, you know, we just don't have enough information to do anything with it.
Then we have 2 Mackinac Road to sign.
Yep,
Andrew,
yep. And we have the certificate of compliance for Hillary Barber at 23A Ice Glen Road, which we closed out in August last year, August 25th. And there's no, they don't have the certificate of compliance, so we need to sign that again.
We gotta send those around now.
What?
Send those around, Sally, to sign.
Okay.
Patrick, have you issued anything about the camp, boys camp, or changes?
I just saw that the special permit came in, like 8 days ago.
All right, so it hasn't come to the
It hasn't
select.
come before the select board yet. The only one that's on our agenda, we have one on the agenda, I think, for Thursday.
Okay, so we also have,
And that's pretty close to, I mean, you're gonna have to look at that one.
Oh, I already went and looked at it, but I didn't know what I was looking at. I thought-
Basically, you had 7 buildings that burned down, they're cleared out.
Well, my assumption was that this was going back in the same footprint.
They're not.
Then I talked to Ned, so I signed off on it once, and I'm tearing that up, and we're gonna start over.
all right, so we also have information, new information on the 4 Cove Lane. With a clarification on how they're doing the
Which project? Sorry.
4 Cove Lane. It's Mary Bacon. We've already asked her, signed off on it, but they've had a slight revision to the plans. Attached, you will find the Bacon plan with more detail about their utility service crawl space. This is the exact plan your commission has already seen with additional information on the utility space, including location dimensions and construction detail. Nothing else has changed for the project. So this really is just an update on the plans, or clarification on the plans we already have.
That's nice that they told us. Where's the signature?
People-
So it's really just an FYI.
Good, that's fine.
Okay, just so everybody knows.
They looking for a signature on something, or what are they looking for?
No, they just, they wanted to make sure we didn't find that this was, a problem. It's just a clarification on how they're doing the crawl space with the utilities going in. They've been in to talk to us
Yeah,
about
they've
it.
been.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think so.
let's do a performance.
So we wrote,
So Chairman, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think there was something you were speaking on earlier. I didn't want to interrupt, but I think we've got some information that might be helpful for the commission. Again, Brent White from White Engineering, and joining me is General Contractor Eric Taylor from Restorations, as well as Bart Markheim from Camp Group with respect to the Camp Mackinac project. You are correct. You did sign off on the building permit for this. The commission may recall last year, a number of buildings on the camp were destroyed by fire. And as a part of our reconstruction of those buildings, we have actually worked very closely over the last, really the last 6 months with Carrie Bartini from Berkshire Design, as well as Camp Group, to come up with plans that actually move both the Seneca House as well as the staff building further from Stockbridge Bowl than the original buildings were. They're up higher on the flats. There is no land clearing. We've actually had spent a great deal of time with the Mass DEP drinking water program, since all those buildings were within their Zone 1 protective radius of the water supply well. We actually demonstrated that as a part of the reconstruction of all the capacity that was lost. We've actually got a net reduction in impervious area on the property here. All work is greater than 200 feet from Stockbridge Bowl. That's site work as well as proposed buildings and limits of work. And really the reason we're here before you this evening is, I believe Patrick White mentioned, we have ultimately it's been determined that because of the nonconformity of the camp on the property, we do need to seek a special permit from the select board here. Obviously, these buildings are very vital to the camp's operation this summer here. So the reason we're before you this evening is that we are informed that we would be allowed to start site preparation work, excavating for the footings and starting or preparation for the foundations, I should say, while we were waiting for our hearing with the selectmen. But the Commissioner Baldwin wanted us to appear before the commission to request an inspection of our erosion controls just to verify that they are intact. Again, all that work is outside of the 200-foot setback to the lake, and there's nothing about this project that triggers your stormwater bylaw. And again, being greater than 200 feet, it's outside of the town wetland bylaw jurisdiction. And Eric can speak to this in greater detail, but every day that goes by is making it even tighter for the camp to be able to open this summer. And we're just hoping that someone may be able to meet Eric or one of his crew out at the site to verify that the silt fence is intact. So they may begin their work while we wait for our special permit hearing. We're certainly happy to answer any questions that you have on that.
Can you tell me your name again, please? Not you, Brett.
From what
Yeah. My name is Eric Taylor, and I'm with Restorations.
Eric Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have you. Never mind.
So the erosion control is in place now?
It's being worked on. It's about 60%. We're ready to put the rest of it in, within the next few days.
You on top of the snow and ice, or are you?
No, we're removing the snow and ice. That there was one section that we needed to, bring in a different piece of equipment to put the erosion control in. So we're planning to reconvene there in the next couple days, and can have the erosion control, 100%, by early next week.
On the 16th? Can have it on?
Yeah, that works for us.
You can do site visit.
Yeah, we'll do a site visit on the 16th. We have one at 10:30 scheduled already.
I walk there.
Okay. So what time do you want to come out?
Quarter after 11.
It is?
11, 11:15, somewhere in there.
We're never on time like at 11.
I'm just looking at my calendar. Yeah, is the 16th the earliest you can do it?
Earlier.
What's the date today?
8.
If it's of any assistance as a way of trying to facilitate this here, I'm certainly happy on an earlier date to make myself available to document the erosion controls and submit that under my stamp to the commission to verify that the erosion controls are intact. If that's an acceptable compromise, I hate to even ask that, but I know every day that we have this type of weather is very valuable to trying to move forward. Frankly, the need for the special permit was a surprise, and and I know that's not the commission's fault or issue, but we're just trying to streamline things in a correct manner while we can still give Eric as much time as possible to get these buildings built for this camp season. That's all.
Thanks, Brett.
Friday?
Anybody make it? Can anybody else make it this week?
I can. In the
Alrighty.
afternoon, I can.
I have my grandchildren.
That's a nice place to run around.
They've already run around
We
there.
can do it. We'll try Friday.
Okay, what time on Friday?
We can do AM.
Okay.
The thing is that we have to advertise, we now have to advertise our site visits.
I would say in this case here, this is a formal application before the commission here in terms of open meeting law. This is simply your pre-construction. In this case here, we're I would say fortunate, but it didn't require a commission review for the fact that we're so far away. So I would say in this case here, if we were an active notice of intent or
I get that, but we got in a whole lot of trouble for having a quorum at a site visit. So we have to advertise if we're going to go to a site visit.
Who's going to make it on
I
Friday?
can do it like 1 o'clock or between 1 and 3, I can do it. I can't do it.
I can't. Dexter's having a nap.
If you,
It's all staked out. It's going to be marked flags.
Buildings have been staked for over a week now. So the buildings themselves are all intact. We did have some revisions to the building location as we worked with the DEP drinking water program, but the limits of the proposed buildings are staked in the field, ready for your viewing
And,
So if we go, in pairs or something, then we don't have to have,
yeah.
I think the commissioner was just looking for someone from the commission to say that the erosion controls are in place and we're clear to start site work here. I don't want to overcomplicate things or make a burden for the commission here. You just was understanding that you've already signed off on the building permit here, just to make sure that you were satisfied with the erosion control. So I can appreciate the busy schedule, not trying to make it one more appointment for everyone, but just to be, if someone could, from the commission, say that the erosion controls are intact and we can report that back to the commissioner. I think that's really all that Eric needs to keep going forward in earnest.
So when are they going to be completely intact?
They're gonna be done by Friday?
We'll have it done by Friday.
You won't.
Like,
We will. Will.
Let's do it.
okay.
so Friday,
Yeah.
what time?
At least two of us will be there Friday morning,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll meet you there.
And now you're really done with me for tonight.
Take care. Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay. So
Performance standards.
performance standards, so I used what John had written and rewrote it using most of what he said. I didn't say that the contractor had to be present at a meeting. I just don't think we're gonna get a contractor at a
Well, I
meeting.
agree, but I think that a contractor has got to sign off on the plans.
I had to be signed by the applicant and the
With
contractor.
the understanding that there's going to be a certificate of compliance down the road, and if the plans are not, if the project is not built per plan,
Yep,
then we're going to have some problems.
agreed.
But I mean, we need to have the contractors, whether they come before us or not, I don't know, but I mean, we need to have them involved because there's two projects going on right now that I'm really kind of concerned about. One, actually, both of them are down in Beachwood. And one's the old Rhinehole property and the other one's just down the street from it. And it just, my brain doesn't take in and automatically photograph plans, but what I see down there doesn't have anything to do with my memory. I think that the key thing is the timing. We really want to know when you come in here in 2022 and you tell us you're going to do this plan and you don't start it until 2024, it gets lost in the wash.
So see if this meets your approval. Like what I say is if there's any proposed changes from the original signed
Right.
orders, the commission will be notified prior to the start of the work.
Right. And I think that's absolutely perfect.
Is that
We're looking
okay?
for another site visits, yeah.
So if we can send this back to, want this included in the performance
Yes.
standards, so if we can send it back to the lawyer along with the LOPD language that Sally was doing. And we looked last week, just one sentence on fencing. That we looked at the last meeting. So you can't have fencing down to the ground that's gonna stop migratory paths. I think if we include those, the rest of this draft I thought was pretty good.
Did you send out an email of the draft?
That came from Ron.
Can I get an email from you with that attached?
Sally,
What?
send John an email.
Yeah, can you send it to me again?
I got it from you. I'll have to look for it. I got it.
All right, I can find it, I'll find it.
Or you handed it out maybe.
I think I handed it.
The reason for this is that,
Scan it.
Do we not have it in digital form?
I don't
I
know.
think you handed it out. Yeah. I don't think it was an email.
We
I
have
think-
this draft. So this draft is not, I don't think this draft that I have here is the latest version.
Might
Or is,
I think
Yeah, I
it
think
is.
it is.
I think it is.
Okay.
This is what came from
We
the
didn't,
lawyer.
I didn't redo that at all.
And we went through and we made some changes, such as, do not use application of fertilizers instead of minimize. We did go through and make changes.
Canales has got that on his computer. I have him send it digitally
okay,
to you.
all right, and then we'll
We'll
add
get you one,
this.
So, yeah, just so everybody, we're on the same page, the reason for that is that Stockbridge Updates does not typically put our notes in Stockbridge Updates. The reason for that is that the publisher of Stockbridge Updates doesn't really understand all of what we do. And I will say that in our draft, when we use alphabet soup type things, even though we identify what the alphabet soup is, LPOD at the beginning of when we first say it, out of context, LPOD doesn't mean anything to anybody. So I'm suggesting that our alphabet soup in our draft of the performance standards, even if it's parentheses as to what it is continuously through the draft, just so that people can say, oh, so this is part of that Lake and Pond Overlay District, and this is part of this, and this is part of that. Rather than trying to have to make sense of it, if something stands.
Usually you do that right off the bat. Give them all abbreviations.
Well, there's an appendix with definitions.
Yeah,
Well,
it's on there, isn't it?
I am,
No?
I know what you're saying.
D is not.
what I'm saying, yeah, that's good. That's fine. If we're going to put this in some sort of brochure form, or we're going to present this with every applicant that walks through the
Yeah.
door,
When it's finished.
or every real estate sale that gets made.
I'd rather not have it go anywhere until it's finished, because then people are gonna have an incomplete copy
Okay,
that they're gonna be reading
I
on.
will agree with that.
Um,
I don't think she was going to publish it. I think she was kind of trying to understand what it is we do.
It needs to go to
Yeah,
the
the
town
lawyer's gotta
council
see it.
Right, no, I got it.
to be reviewed before it goes to anybody basically outside of this room.
Okay, I would still like an updated copy of the draft.
It should be very doable. We'll get you one, John. Any other business?
Just conservation agent?
Oh,
Got the site visit of Lily Pond.
oh, yes.
What, site visit of Lily Pond?
What?
What site visit of Lily Pond?
Well,
What
it's the
site?
annual, well, not annual, but the few months a year where the 26-acre parcel that you all own and oversee is
Accessible.
accessible. And if you want to see the property that you oversee, I was going to invite you to go through my backyard and walk the trail. We can walk across the pond and exit via Dan Saul's property. He's given us permission, so it's just basically a big long circle.
So do we want to do that on, of course, we don't know what the weather's going to be, but do we want to try and do that on the 16th?
Sure.
On the 16th?
16th.
16th? Remember we're doing that.
We had a 10:30 meeting on the 16th, and then that's the only one other than Lily Pond.
So 11:15 maybe?
What time do you think?
11:15?
It'll be at least 11, probably a little bit after.
All right, you're talking about the 16th, which is a Wednesday?
Yes.
So that's right, I mean, that's almost right across the street from where we're going to be.
And I'm gonna ask my neighbor, because she's got that circular driveway, if a bunch of you come and if some of us can park there. So that in just case the side of the road, at least know.
Thank you.
Which neighbor are we talking now?
The opposite side of Wheatley Drive, just up where the pond is.
Okay.
But I don't know yet, I'll let you know.
Should we bring a camera?
You like?
Yeah, we still were never able to get to those people who clear cut down there. We're in Africa or
Fish and auger?
I drove over last week, I went all by myself.
How deep's the ice, or how thick?
From here to like here.
Wow.
I wouldn't drive on it, but I'll walk on it. I'll take your car.
Go for it, just stay away from the thin ice places.
You got those quads, you should bring one of those over. You can shuttle people.
Now we need to talk about our agent, conservation agent.
I ran into Shep Evans.
Did you?
That was rather interesting. I said, hey, Shep, you interested in being a Conservation Commission agent in Stockbridge? And he said, you can't afford me. What?
What did he say?
He said, you couldn't afford me.
How long ago? Because I just spoke to him.
This was like 4 days ago.
Because I just spoke to him and he said he was waiting for a call.
I think he's been waiting for.
He's been waiting, he said to me, he's been waiting for a call since he spoke to you.
I can't set up a meeting if Michael's not involved in it. And I've talked to him 3 times. I've given him, you gave me a note,
Michael or Shep?
Michael Canal, because he's got to be in the conversation really, because we don't know what we need for, or what the duties of an agent for this town would be, or what it could possibly cost. He's doing this now. He could give us a general information on what to expect and what this might cost. I'm not saying we hire him.
Right.
Okay, that's, I don't know who makes that determination. Wouldn't be us, I guess.
I think it depends on who pays him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have
But
a budget?
if he, well, that's what's, they're doing the budget now. So
Good answer.
Get the information.
if he says, I'll do it, or somebody could do it per visit or
Getting ready.
per week, or I don't know
Shepherds.
how to do it.
Smile Bridge.
So I've tried 3 times and I'll try again. I gotta come in tomorrow anyways. I'll give it another shot.
I'll be here.
Pardon?
Tell me when you're coming in, I'd be happy to be here, it's important.
10:30, 11.
I have one more thing.
One more, go
One
for it.
last one. I did speak to the Agriculture and Forestry Commission about a joint meeting.
Mhm.
It's mixed. There's only 3 of us on the commission and 2 alternates. Some people are interested in doing it, some people are not. But what they suggested was to include the tree warden, because
yeah,
whatever
definitely.
bylaw gets written, the tree warden would have control over if it's a town bylaw about trees. And they said rather than come to a meeting here and have it be tacked onto the meeting, they suggested a separate joint meeting with anybody that's interested from the Conservation Commission, and people that are interested from the Forestry Commission and the tree warden, to set it up that way rather than as part of a.
Well, if you get a meeting together, give me a call.
Okay, so how about if the chair calls you and tries to set it up? Okay. Yeah.
So before we adjourn, members, you know, when people say that they're going to go in and cut stuff, and dead ash, this, that, and the other thing, we all know they're gonna encounter buckthorn. And if they don't wanna dig it up, chances are it's gonna come back.
Oh, definitely.
So what are the thoughts about, you know, telling them that they have to paint the stem? Well, then what do we do? That's a question.
It's a good question.
Well, that's like the Phragmites at the beach. They want to remove them. We don't want them nuking them. And if they dig them up, then what do they do with them? And how do you dig them up if you're right on the edge of the water?
It's like a Trump memo, you put it in a burn bag.
So I don't know how to do these things efficiently. I don't know what the state would recommend or.
Well, they can't be digging at the water's edge without a notice of intent.
Yeah,
And part of the thing with buckthorn is it's really labor intensive. It takes many years. You have to keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it year after year, and then planting things that are going to grow around it. And eventually enough will grow around it that it'll die down. But it's not just like you cut it and you're done. It's usually 5 or 6 years that you have to really stay with
we're
it.
dealing with that in Gould Meadows now. They've
Yep.
gone in with the the mower, like flail mower.
Yep.
This will be the second cutting of it, and it's just, it's gonna be a back.
The same thing with the Arthur Schwartz property on the banks of Housatonic, which I thought was a total farce, that whole project.
It was.
I know.
I mean, the removal of invasive species generally is pretty much of a farce, because all you need is a goose, and you're done.
So we also have Carrie Ann Patrick from the MVP program has invited us to do the presentation. I think it's gonna be a week from February 17th, whatever day that is, I think Thursday. One of the proposals is for Campusa Bog, obviously a giant wetland. Does somebody want to be the point person for that project? If you really are interested?
I would be happy to do so, but I am going to be gone from the 17th of this month until the 3rd of the next month. But if it doesn't involve that space of time, sign me up.
Okay, good.
Does anybody want to attend the meeting with the state?
I would want to.
When is it?
I believe it's going to be February 17th in the morning.
I'm
That
gone.
work?
I will be on an airboat.
And she wants to review all 3 MVP projects we put in early expressions of interest on. One is the Ice Glen, one is Campusa, and then another one related to forest.
Are you gonna go? John?
I served on the Campusa Bog Stewardship Committee
Yeah.
for a lot of years, and my property is in the headwaters of the Campusa Bog, so it's,
On the Sally.
my property's in the
Yeah, no.
ACEC, so.
Time in the morning?
It's 10 a.m. I don't know, there's like 6 people on it, they're doing a doodle right now. But I think it's gonna be 10 a.m. on the 17th.
By Zoom.
Yeah, but it's just basically, it's a meeting between me, Michael, and Carrie Ann, and then whoever wants to, also come. It's not a public meeting.
So will you send me the link, or are we gonna have it here? What are we doing?
I think it'll be a Zoom one.
So the
Yeah.
17th?
Here or from?
Oh, no, I think it's just everyone logs in it, I know, I think it's just like literally, it's Carrie Ann, the state is gonna send us a link.
All right, send us the link, Patrick, when you get it.
Send it to me. If I can, I will. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I
If
don't
can,
know.
I
It
will.
depends on what time.
If Sally's going, that's great. If I can, I'll go too, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah, we put in, I think, it was like a 6-figure grant request for high school, for Campusa Bog.
Has anybody devised a plan yet, or is this just,
It's like a hydrology study and this education stuff, and, it's a whole, the submission's in, or the early expression of interest, Michael Assay, he got from tomorrow.
Is this all because of the beaver dam?
yep,
No, it's
what started,
It's all before. I don't know why we have to put 6 figures in it.
We want to do a hydrology study, because storms are gonna keep getting worse, And there's also salt issues, and, we don't know if they're using the right salt equipment, and,
Don't they isn't there information out there? I mean, they did a lot of studies. There were tons of studies. I'm not sure even what.
part of what we're going for is an archive proposal to collect all these documents wherever they reside, like at the land trust or, whoever has them, and digitize them and get them into some kind of, digital archive, because nobody has that, the institutional knowledge is being lost.
Jess Toro must have it.
She has some of it, yes.
Who inherited all the stuff from Judy Spencer?
I am not, I know Jess has some of it, some of it's in one of the land trust people's basement, I guess. Some of it may be here in the basement, who knows?
Because they did a lot of.
They did a lot of
A
stuff.
lot on the salt issue, as to whether the Phragmites followed the salt, which that was an interesting theory.
Well, but it's also a question of, they bought special equipment, the state did, for control salt there, we're not even sure if they're still using it, that was over 10 years ago.
I'm sure they are.
How would they control the salt?
They had a liquid salt device that was much easier to regulate in that area rather than the regular salt machine, and they're supposed to be using that the last 10 years, but we don't know that they are, no one's.
Where?
they're not using.
I'm really
Route
confused.
7.
On Route 7, so that's a state thing.
Yeah, the
So
state bought a piece of equipment that was they were gonna use along Route 7, but who knows if they still are using it?
one would commute,
Along the turnpike.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I think that too. Right.
I mean, I don't think
Look,
there's,
I'm new to the game here, I'm just trying to like kind of.
I mean, the turnpike people, turnpike people were part of the Campusa Bog Stewardship Committee.
Yeah.
And so was Mass Highway.
There were 17 organizations.
So Mark Moore, who's still up in Lennox, he was part of it. Leslie Luchanik, I don't know where he is now.
That's why you should be the new chairman of the new stewardship commission.
Oh, shoot me dead.
What?
Shoot me dead.
So the reality, can I bring, I mean, the reality of a snow or ice event in the Berkshires is they have a whole bunch of independent contractors, Lane and, you know, whoever.
Irish Trucking.
And, yeah, and they just, they're assigned a piece of highway and they go and they take care of it. You know, there is no truck with a calcium boom coming off the back of it that goes up and down Route 7. Absolutely is not, never was, never will be, as far as I know, and there's no way to monitor whether there is or isn't. So let's take that off the table right now.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I was hoping to meet with Hugh, is to get some sort of consistency. You know, if he is the superintendent of highways, maybe, you know, it's his oversight ultimately.
Not the state.
Not the state highway, but the other highways. And the, you know, if you go all along the turnpike, there are signs that say low salt area. I don't believe that there's a low salt area next to Campusa, which I think is crazy.
It's the only area basic in the state.
I don't think that, well, up by the Eden Hills, they don't salt, I mean, they don't go anywhere near it.
Yeah, and rattlesnake never gets salted.
They don't salt rattlesnakes, there's limit. However, I have to say that when we put our well in at our house on Prospect Hill, we had salt in the well.
Well, that could come off of Prospect Hill.
How much?
No, it was from the turnpike.
How deep's the well?
It's deep, it's like 400 feet.
It probably
Oh,
came
wow.
off the turnpike then.
So it's salt from the turnpike. So if salt from the turnpike is getting from the turnpike to my house, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's getting into Campusa.
How about your new well? You know about that yet?
I don't know if we tested for salt. I'm sure they did, but I don't have the information. But, yeah.
No salt in my well.
I'm surprised you got water. We get down about 2,000 feet.
I use 680.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a pricey well.
Ours was 400 and then they had to frack it.
Frack it? Shame on you.
They had to frack to get the water.
All right, make a motion?
I make a motion.
Second. All in favor, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you. So,